Hello there. We have a very interesting topic today. James O'Keefe has brought us all some very nice information about, well, a top Pentagon advisor who is supposedly a spy catcher. And he decided to regale his date with a lot of very important information that he probably shouldn't have, including how he in conversation with a couple of retired generals to explore what we can do to protect people from Trump. Essentially, they have meetings and they're all trying to see how they can stop Trump from, enacting his agenda. And they are not secretive enough for people who are really conspiring against essentially the democratically elected leader of the United States. I mean, isn't that treason? Oh, sorry. But yeah, isn't that entirely treasonous to do? Well, let's just let him speak for himself, I suppose.
And I work at this top consulting firm, and my client is the Pentagon. So I'm embedded in the Pentagon. I work in the Joint Staff, which is the top military command. When she lost, I went into the intelligence community.
When he says she, he means Hillary Clinton. He was a Hillary Clinton special assistant for her, I believe. Essentially, from straight out of college, I believe he went working for her and essentially followed her around in her career ever since.
And I became an FBI special agent. So I became a spy hunter. So I was a counterintelligence agent, special agent at the FBI.
What's your overall assessment of Trump?
He's a sociopathic narcissist who is only interested in advancing his name, his wealth, and his fame.
Ah, yes. These are the non-political experts that are working day and night to keep you safe from your own political choices, it appears.
Is there anything you can do to protect American people from stuff that he might try to do?
I'm in conversation with a couple of retired generals to try to explore what we can do.
Who were the retired generals that you were going to talk to?
They're like 1, 2, or 3-star generals and admirals. You probably know maybe 4 stars. So I also have a big day tomorrow. Probably the biggest day of all. So we have this huge meeting with military leaders in a very secure room called the Tank.
Oh.
So we have a tank meeting and all of the top leaders in the United States military tomorrow on my topic that I prepared.
So, it appears that there are a lot of people involved in this attempt to stymie Donald Trump and stop him from, well, doing anything he wants to do. Because apparently it's for your own good if you don't get what you voted for. Obviously, if you believe the assessment that this man made, then you believe that this is a good thing. However, if you, well, are the other more than half of the electorate that voted against the candidate this man campaigned for, which is Kamala Harris, and he says so outright, we'll get to that later, then, well, maybe your assessment of him and his friends is not as positive, and then you might consider what he's doing treason. What they're all doing is treason, and apparently there are a lot of people involved in this. It might be a good idea for Trump, anyone he actually manages to get in to the position of Minister of Defense or in charge of all the special, intelligence communities and such. Yeah, that those guys do some spring cleaning. Because it appears that there are entrenched political actors in there who are abusing their position both before and after the election. Before the election, as you'll soon get to, in order to try and influence the election in the position that they want, using their essentially qualifications in the intelligence community and in the military to turn the election to their favor. And after the election, in order to try and either aid or stop the functioning of the government as they see fit. That's not the way a democracy is supposed to run, and if you keep doing this, people will notice that no matter who is in office, they get the same exact policies or they get a status quo, either or. So things can only ever go one way. And if they understand that they cannot create the change that they are seeking through the ballot box, well, they might choose some other way. And I don't think anyone wants that. So I believe that what he's doing is very harmful and obviously illegal, obviously should be investigated and punished. But let us listen to a bit more, because there's a bit more I wanted to get to here, and then one other part, and I'll leave the rest, of course, for James O'Keefe. Definitely deserves it. His hard work, we should definitely appreciate it, and I urge you to go and watch the entire thing.
Oh, it went well.
I think it went well. It's very sensitive information. We're going to have to keep it between us.
I specialize in artificial intelligence and emerging technologies like quantum, cybersecurity. Yeah.
What's quantum? I haven't heard of it.
Quantum is incredibly fast supercomputing that doesn't yet exist but will soon exist.
Which is interesting. I am not sure what exactly the intelligence community has to do with quantum technologies if they are not operational right now, because that means they're not using them at the moment to, well, try and do anything in terms of cybersecurity, which is probably where it's connected. Unless, of course, they already have the technology and are already using it. Perhaps they're in the development process of it, on the technologically inclined divisions within the US government and military that would be more in charge of that. I'm honestly not sure, but it's interesting that this is his personal angle, because I honestly don't see what that actually has to do with elections or anything that the president might be concerned with. I'd say that there's a very large distance in terms of both rank and the sort of day-to-day operation between someone that specializes in cybersecurity and or quantum computing, etc., and somebody who's, let's say, an admiral or a general. I mean, I doubt that this guy has platoons working under him or anything. And essentially, even if you're talking about cybersecurity, then isn't it up to the admirals and generals to make use of the information that the sort of cybersecurity division might, cyber warfare division might get them, rather than actually be involved in it in any way themselves? It's just, it definitely seems as though there is a coalition here that is not natural. It's not people who are just day-to-day working hand in hand and happen to be concerned about the issue of the coming administration and decided to talk it over a few drinks. This appears to be a much wider conspiracy.
And when it does, it will change everything.
Hegseth.
Except
Who's that?
Secretary of Defense. He's cheated on all of his wives, all of his girlfriends. He's had some sexual assault allegations. He's an alcoholic. There's a lot of observations of him drinking. You're not a spy.
So you can see that he has a very dim view of Trump's incoming Secretary of Defense. I wonder if that kind of dim view would be returned to him by said Secretary of Defense once he's in office. Because if so, I doubt this guy would actually have a job for much longer.
You're not trying to like collect information from me?
I wish I was. That'd be cool.
Well, with me, you're literally with a former FBI agent, so you're gonna be safe.
Ah, yes. He promises that she'll be safe with him. Well, just 2 tables away from James O'Keefe, which he hasn't noticed at all. A very effective spy catcher this man is, for sure. Now, I'm going to slightly, well, not slightly, pretty much jump the entire way, because, well, the next point I want to make is about a minute long, towards the end of the video. I think that he showed in the beginning, like 2-3 minutes that we've seen, quite a lot of the topics that will be raised, but you can see that there's a lot more in the entire interview. More like a hidden date, but never mind. I think it seems as though this is multiple conversations into one video, incidentally. That's the impression I got. But this part, I believe, is important and was not hinted at yet.
I was working with these retired generals, retired ambassadors, in this organization, this nonprofit called National Security Leaders for America.
So the audio is not great here. I put it as high as I can. I don't think you'll be able to hear it very well. So he's basically saying that he's working in this organization, a non-profit called National Security Leaders for America, and what they're doing is essentially fighting against Trump.
And what we were doing was we were trying to explain to the American people the national security consequences of another Trump presidency. And I'm usually reluctant to kind of lead with this or explain this because I don't want to sound too political. But this organization tried to defeat Donald Trump. We tried to engage the American public.
So essentially, he's saying this organization tried to beat Trump. He's admitting that he himself wrote hundreds, 110, 100, maybe 20, maybe opinion pieces. He also says that he was the ghostwriter essentially for pieces that some sort of cabal of generals and admirals and other figures in the intelligence community, they basically put their names on and published it, but he wrote those things. So if you read, for example, any opinion pieces by so-called national security leaders, generals, admirals, people from the intelligence community against Trump before the election, this guy may well have been the writer behind the piece. This is a very interesting revelation because, well, they all sound like they're expressing the exact same thing, isn't it? It's not surprising if they're written by the same guy. It's not surprising at all. Now, the other point to make here is that this is not news. This has been going on since not the last election, not even the previous election, probably before the previous election, meaning when Hillary Clinton was campaigning. That sort of cabal was already there. And we've had hints at it before, definitely. But I believe that this time around, America actually has a chance to clean house. There's going to be a new incoming administration that is empowered by a majority across basically the entire government, the judiciary, the House, the Senate, and the presidency, to take the measures necessary to remove these partisan actors that are actively admitting they are impeding the implementation of the policies the American people voted for, under the claim that the American people are wrong again. Of course. You don't understand the ramifications, the horrible consequences of another Trump presidency. Another thing that this guy says is that Trump is going to try and remain in the White House after his term. That's an interesting accusation that was lobbied the previous time as well. They called him a dictator so many times, but you don't vote your way out of a dictatorship, and you did vote your way out of the Trump presidency, because of course we are on YouTube and saying that you didn't vote your way out of the Trump second term in 2020 would be very, very wrong here, so I will never say it. Now, this video is absolutely a confirmation of what we already know. If you are listening to people on the right, people on social media, even people on the center or populist type leftists, the kind that are not particularly enamored with the current administration or the corporations, then you're already aware of pretty much everything that will be in this video. Not the specific, not the particulars, but of the general idea that's conveyed here. It's not news to you, you're not surprised that this has been going on. This is just the proof that you needed to be able to say to people who are trying to refute it, see, I told you so. That's pretty much all it is. That said, I would still urge you to view it. I think it's important to support James O'Keefe. He does amazing work. And even if you are his political enemy, so long as you're not so tribal as to eschew the spirit of democracy and the interests of the United States in favor of your tribal allegiance, then I think it is important for you to know to what lengths your people, as in people on your side of the aisle, have gone to, and judge for yourself whether you approve of the use of such measures under the current circumstances or not. Because I'd say I wouldn't approve of such measures taken by my side unless they could prove to me that there is some sort of imminent danger, some irreparable harm that the incoming administration was about to enact on me and my family, my friends, my interests. If you can't bring such proof to me, and it's very difficult considering Trump was already president and he didn't do anything of the sort, then I would oppose them using such measures. I would also consider it corrupting the sort of reputation of my movement and destroying its hope for the future, because it would repulse people who believe in the spirit of democracy from ever supporting our side again. And I would urge honest leftists who care about their sort of reputation of their side and the social fabric in the United States to come out loudly against this, because you cannot have a functioning democracy where people can agree to disagree when the other side is aware that your side is taking such undemocratic measures to stymie their policies when they manage to actually get their guys into office. If they absolutely block any change, no matter how trivial, no matter how benign or harmless, which they basically say that they will try to just stop Trump from doing what he wants to do, then, well, also the fact that they didn't stop Biden from doing awful stuff and making huge mistakes. Afghanistan withdrawal, anyone? Giving Iran all the money they used to fund the October 7th massacre? There have been a couple. How about sending people like Boris Johnson, for example, to Ukraine to order them not to compromise and reach an agreement with Russia that could have prevented the Russia-Ukraine war? They seem to have missed out on a lot of very big mistakes that the Biden administration has been doing, if they're truly there for the good of the American people, regardless of who's in office. Seems to me that they are only ever concerned about one side, and it's strangely the side that never started any new wars in 4 years of presidency. But that's just me. Now, I would love to hear what you think about this. Is any part of my analysis blatantly wrong? If there's anything that you can elucidate for me or prove to me, I'm very open to discussion and to changing my mind. And as always, I thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.